Yes, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm super excited tonight. I'm super excited. And now I've watched episodes 1 through 3 already, but I am slowly creeping on the reviews. What's going on, Dusty Bricks? Thanks for stopping and watching a brother. Corey will be in here shortly. But we are talking Australia Lego Masters, Grand Masters. Man, this episode, this stream of episodes is awesome. And here's the thing: is that they're you're getting more Lego Masters. So not only the regular season you're getting, but you're also getting these extras. Like they're going to give you one for the holiday season. Now they give you an All Star, which I hope that they continue this All Star endeavor every year. So you get like almost like year round Lego Masters, right? So we are in episode 2, and they're talking waterfalls, man. Man, what I would give to I'm sitting at home and I'm looking at this episode, and man, I am already off the top of the dome. I know exactly what I'm going to build. I know how I'm gonna build it. I know what I want to do. This is what I would do. You know, and but like as any Lego master, when you're sitting on that floor and they tell you the challenge, you could think you're thinking of all the possibilities, but then you also are thinking about how to execute these possibilities. So episode 2, they have a waterfall, and apparently it's a two-part challenge. And so not only that they got to make an awesome creation, but they have to. And I want to say it's more than just a two-part challenge. It sounds like it's a little bit of multiple, right? Because you got to make this awesome creation that is going to drop down into this waterfall, but it has to make this awesome explosion on impact, right? And so you had that, but what I did see was that a lot of these teams also, like, so you had the hero and then you have the antagonist, or support. So you wasn't just getting one build, right? You were getting another, like an extra build, right, to tell a story, right, and the storyline. And there's so much that could fall down a waterfall. It's a dream. It is. It truly is. Um, and it's just one of those things, man, that like I wish I was there for this season here, man. And I'm having a blast. I'm gonna tell you, I'm truly having a blast on this Lego Master endeavor, man. Especially, Australia is my favorite because it's like they're coming out with all these awesome builds, man. So I had prepared a PowerPoint, so let me dive into the PowerPoint, and so we could talk about some stuff here. So let me present real quick. Share my screen. Oh, all right. Yeah. All right. This is what I want to show. Hopefully, it'll pop right on up for us. Yes. Yes. There we go. All right. All right. Lego Masters, Australia Lego Masters, the Grand Masters, of course. All right. As before, we have our teams. There's Alex and Caleb. There's David and Gus, Gabby and Ryan, Andrew and Damien. You get to see who. You get to see Josh and Henry, Scott, Owen, Trent, Kale, Sarah, and Henry. Right. So those are our players. Right. So episode 2, it's over the falls. Here's what I love. Right. I think that in the U.S., it would just been so plain in the U.S. It would have probably just been like, "Hey, here's a waterfall challenge," right? But they actually gave like an epic title for an epic challenge, right? They call it Over the Falls. So, like I said, it's a two-part challenge: the creation that will travel down a waterfall and make a big impression on Crash at the end of the waterfall drop. So this is like somewhat like the space mashup that we had on season 1. It was like episode 2. Um, we had the space mashup, and where you make this awesome creation, you put a lot of like colorful one by one bricks inside, and on explosion. So you either got hit by a bat, it exploded. If it was dropped, it was exploded. Or if they put the C4 or whatever type of dynamite to explode, that it will explode in color. So without the dynamite, everybody's dropping off of this waterfall. So on the waterfall impact, they want to see something spectacular, right? All right, so thanks, Dusty Bricks. I think it was you that told me the point system of this, and I think this is brilliant, right? The point system of this whole entire thing. You could be like in the back of the pack, right? And I don't know exactly how you get deducted points. I tried to watch it to see exactly how, and maybe I missed it. I probably missed it because I only saw a partial of the first episode. But the perfect score that you can get on this is 20. So 18, you kind of at the beginning of the pack, right? So 14, but here's the thing, it's so close, right? If I was one of the teams and I got a 10, me and my partner, we scored a 10, I would be worried at that point. Like I would be. But from 14 to 18, that's still a close call because the team that's running 14 can easily run 18 one day or 19, or you might just get a perfect score depending on if you're wowing, Brickman himself, so you could mess around and get a 20 and that'll put you at, 34 or whatever, like, so you would definitely, it's real close. Like, so you would definitely not be out of the showing. Where this here, it sounds like, to me, it sounds like it's like the first 3 episodes is for the, for the immunity, and then after that, you can cut the deck because they're gonna be starting to lob heads off, for the final challenge, right? All right, first up, you got the brothers, right? You got the brothers. They do a koi fisherman challenge, and man, like, I want to tell you, like, a lot of the Australian stories and folk tales and stuff like that must be like real epic stories, man, because these characters, you could tell these brothers really read into their characters and stuff like that because they were able to make this epic fish, right? And here's the thing, right? Yo, what's going on? Critical breakdown. So here's the thing, man. And as critical as this may sound, right? I expect a lot because here, these two brothers, they're champions. They're Lego Masters champions. You should be slaughtering everybody else, right? And maybe that the competition is just too steep at one point, right? But you could tell here, and here's the finish thing. This ain't shabby at all, friend. This thing ain't shabby at all. You got the fisherman who looks great, right? He looks like one of them old dudes that fresh off the boat, right? And you got this amazing koi fish, right? And I love it. Like a lot of these builds you're gonna see, the builders really thought about it. Like now, you figure like, with a waterfall, with the pressure of the water, your build is actually going to float over the edge and down the waterfall. But you see a lot of them chose to actually put, wheels on the bottom of their build, which I think is brilliant, right? If you can hide these wheels, right, it's brilliant because it makes your build hurry up and scurry down, the waterfall pretty quickly, right? Especially with the rushing water. However, right, you can even hear Brickman gets on them, like, they make the fisherman, they put love into the fisherman, they put love into this koi fish, but they were struggling. And he even said, he's like, look, I'm kind of struggling on this boat. Like, you could tell he really wasn't loving that boat, and maybe something like that kind of do you in a little bit, right? It kind of does you in just a little bit, right? And it's tough, right? It's tough because like you want to be in front of the pack and you're trying to have a flawless build, but the moment that you start doubting, some of your work, like like even myself, like you start doubting some of your work, then it really shows, right? And it's like, man, like and here's the thing, this is not a regular season, and to me, a regular Australia season is an all-star season for me because they find the people that are like the most talented and have like the far out imagination every time, and they're able to actually express that imagination in the brick, like bending the brick, man. You can see, like he's got this flailed rain jacket or fisherman's jacket, and he's got a little gut, it's so easy to like have the fisherman standing straight up, but they actually put a pose on this guy, and he's struggling to keep this koi fish down, right? And this koi fish is taking him to the bank like automatically. And so it's tough to see them lose points on that boat, which is a fisherman's boat is really plain. There's nothing extravagant about it, but when this thing it looks great. When it fell over the waterfall, what happened was the unthinkable. I mean, Brickman called it. He said, I would hate to see this awesome creation, get slighted by that ugly boat that you have, because you can't see the explosion because the boat is going to cover everything up. And my man was spot on with that advice, because that's exactly what happened. When the koi fish went down, you could see it explode, and the fisherman's right on top of it. But at this point, the boat actually covers up the whole entire explosion of the fish, and you really don't get to see anything because the boat is technically like the last part of the build that actually crashed down onto the water or the pond, right? And so, man, I'm knocking stuff off. I'm all excited. So yeah, so it's tough. And here's the thing, like I think Brickman is probably really, he's probably expecting 100% out of his Lego Masters champions, right? And so he's not. This feat is not going to come easy for them brothers, but I think that you will see them, start to persevere. They just got to get in their game a little bit, and you'll see them persevere. Let there be a challenge where they create a dragon or epic dragon or some epic monster. Forget a dragon, an epic monster. And you can see these brothers persevere with their characters. All right, let's see what we got up next, friends. Let's see. Should be. Oh, okay. So Save the Turtles. I actually like this one here, right? And this is Scott and Owen, and they won the first challenge with their minor asteroid, right? Asteroid miner, asteroid. I think that's what's the name of it. And so they won the first challenge. So they're on a high. But the funny thing about it is that here's what I love about it is that when the doors open, and everybody walks in, they see Hamish, right? And Hamish is hanging out by the waterfall in a merman suit, right? He's in his golden merman suit. So some folks are like real, like, and it's funny because now I'm thinking that like everybody would shy away from the merman suit, but no, bro, like all the teams, this becomes the prize. Like everybody wants to put that merman suit on, friend. Like they want to put it on. Like and they're saying, even Kelly's like, look, if I win, I want to get to wear that merman suit. Like, put me in that merman suit. That's where it's at. And you can see her Hamish struggle trying to lift the tail. Like the tail's a little bit too much. The tail's probably like 50 or 75 pounds more than Hamish is. So he's struggling lifting his legs up, trying to bring that tail up. What'd you say, Dusty? You think that most teams are saving their special builds for elimination? Yeah, but here's the thing. Like once that they decide who gets the immunity break and people start falling off, Dusty, like at a certain point, like you don't want to be down in the bottom and wait till, all right, this is our best build, we need to release now, and it become a flop to you. Like, you don't want to do that, because then you're desperate to pull something like out of the bag, and if it doesn't go the way you don't, that's all you got. You ain't got nothing else, and you bail out. So you don't want to rely on that, like that. What's that? That one hitter quitter, we call it, the one hitter quitter. You don't want to rely on that. All right, so this guy, these two guys, Scott and Owen, I kind of like this build, right? And I'm gonna tell you why. And I love the way. Again, I love the way how the producers, kind of shoot the film on each episode on here. You got to see the builders build, and at one point they were showing you like a time lapse build where you could see them, putting the bricks down, but they were time lapsing it. And I think that's important too, because a lot of people at home want to see, all right, how did they create? Let me see them create it. And let me see like some of the drama, behind it, like, because there were some builders that were actually struggling to kind of, achieve certain techniques. You said the scoreboard is just for the immunity brick, though. Yeah, that's true. The scoreboard is just for the immunity brick. But here's the thing. What I was saying is that, like, after they give the immunity brick to somebody, they're going to start eliminating people, and you don't want to, all right, this is my one hitter quitter, and I'm down in the bottom two, and I get put out. Like, I should have been putting out some epic stuff from the beginning. So my thing is, don't hold back thinking I'm gonna hold on to this build. I'm gonna wait. We're gonna build something else. I'm gonna hold on to this build. I'm gonna hold on to this build. Okay, I'm gonna let it out now, but I'm already in the bottom. So, and that's tough. That's tough. So you kind of want to be on your best all the time. But yeah. So back to Scott and Owen. I'm digging this story on them. Now, they had what was called Save the Turtles, right? And so the story was, it was a heartfelt story. Like, they built this epic turtle, man. Let me tell you, Dusty, I'd never seen a turtle built like this. You don't get to see not one stud on this turtle. He builds it totally snot. And I love the technique. And here's what I love about the production. They actually showed how he built that thing. And it was like, that was like totally epic, right? And so the turtle's laid out on the table, and Brickman is digging the turtle. Everybody's digging this turtle, but the story, I don't say the story sucks, because the story is real life, right? A lot of turtles perish because of trash and stuff like that that gets thrown in the ocean. And so the storyline was kind of grim. And here's the thing, is that epic turtle, that epic build, it's going to get smashed anyway in the in the waterfall. It is. It's going down, and it's gonna splat and smithereens, because there's rocks at the end of the waterfall, right? But you could tell that the story that they came up with, which was creative, was really bugging the artist. And when that happens, right? Like, say if you build this epic build and you have a dooming story, or story that's going to just put you in a bad mood, well, you're not apt to actually continue on to build creative stuff. Like, you're in a creative hole at that point. And you can see him. He's down in the dumps. Like, yeah, I built this epic turtle, and now I got to build trash around him, and he's getting ready to die, and we're dooming this. And so it comes to a point where I think they recognize that, and Brickman steps in, right? And he's like, yeah, tell me about the story of the turtle. And he was like, look, that story is pretty garbage. He tells me, like, the story is pretty garbage. You're going to make a new story. You're going to give me a new story, and you're going to do something different. Because if you don't, I'm telling you, you're not going to be the number one team. And that's a lot of pressure, right? That's enough pressure. And that what that is that's a poker face, Dusty. That's a poker face. Now, there was a time where on the first season of Lego Masters, Christian and Aaron had the golden brick, and they were the number one spot. They were holding on to the brick for a while, and they had, they were good, because they kept pumping out like awesome creations, so you would never see them in the bottom. They were never close to. And so Jamie had to poker face Aaron, into coughing up the brick. He was like, "Yeah, I'm not impressed. You're not really following the themes of the build, this and that. You're gonna find yourself down in the bottom." And it came to a point where they coughed up the brick, and that was Poker Face. So you have Brickman is looking at Scott and Owen and saying, "Look, if you don't change this story, you're number one on the leaderboard, but I can easily change that if you don't change this story." So them brothers, they changed that real quick. That's enough. That's called being poker faced, right? And so, they go ahead and they change the story, right? So they go from being this turtle being wrapped up in garbage or rubbish, and they went ahead and they changed it from save the turtle to turtle safety turtle, right? So now the turtle is hang gliding, and he's got his helmet on, he's got some floaties, he's got some goggles. The turtle looks like a real superhero, right? And I'm glad that they made that change. They made that quick pivot real quickly, and good on them, because it shows at this point, it shows the creativity that you have as a builder, right? As a builder, you have this awesome creativity that you're able to pivot and change, and this looks like your first story, other than the other story, right? So this one looks like your first story. This build was so epic, man. This here is a great technique. This is like way advanced, and this is like really out of my realm. I wouldn't even think to make a turtle like this using this technique. I just wouldn't, and I still consider myself a novice, right? I think these guys are much like advanced artists, right? You have artists, you have amateur artists, you have artists and some advanced artists, right? And I think these guys are very advanced, and because they're using advanced techniques to achieve the shell of the turtle. And as you can see, they're using studs not on top, and what it is on the inside they actually use flex tube and bars and clips to actually give that curvature look. And so each corner of the shell looks round, and they're staggered like a real shell top would be. So I think that and it's tough, because let me tell you, if I were to build something like this, I would not want to destroy it at all, my friend. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to destroy it at all. And I would be so brokenhearted about destroying this build. and I'm sure at a certain point, like Steven and Mark, Marcus Steven from season 2, they their builds that they made on the show, they quickly went home and made them again. So this is probably something that I would quickly go home and try to make again, because it looks so epic, man. It definitely does. And shout out to I'm gonna tell you, I think I'm a hard nose when it comes to like interference, like when you're interfering with like the competition and stuff like that. But I do believe that some people need the push, right? And kudos to Brickman to see that you see one of your artists is really morally struggling, like, man, like, because you could tell that the artist was really in love with this awesome turtle, and the intent, or the inspiration was there, because they were trying to make everybody aware of the cause of with the trash and in the ocean and stuff like that. And so you take it out of that grim story, and you bring some light to it, so they enjoy the build. So I definitely appreciate that. You said you like the intents that they put into it. Yeah, man. This is the technique on this thing, man, is awesome. Like, you got a turtle that's now having fun. He's got goggles, he's got a safety helmet on, he's got the floaties, he's got the hang glider, and just I'm gonna tell you, I never seen a Lego turtle like this, like, or even built like this. This is on another level for me. maybe somebody else seen it, but for me, this is like definitely on another level, man. So this one definitely is probably my favorite of this episode. All right, so next up we have Alex and Caleb. Alex and Caleb, and they make a treasure hunter, right? And here's I'm looking at this treasure hunter, and here's my thing. It's like, man, I would love to go down to Australia and spend like a couple weeks, right? But not just sightseeing, because that's just too easy, right? Just going to sightsee. But I want some of the folklore. I want some of the folk stories and all it, because you look at this character, right? This is a real Australian hero. And I almost said American hero, but this is a real Australian hero. And the funny thing to me is like, what hero would you see riding two crocodiles, right? He's riding two crocodiles, and he's got a pack of treasure on his back, right? Maybe Indiana Jones, maybe, but Indiana Jones didn't even like snakes, so I couldn't even see Indiana Jones doing something like this, right? And so, I would, and here's the thing, like, I think the most macho story that I ever heard in my lifetime was probably the Spartans in 300, right? And so it's like you wonder, like, man, where did all the Spartans gone to? Like, where had they gone to? Bro, they went on vacation and they went down to Australia and they live in Australia, because this story right here is a hero story. Like, this dude is riding two crocodiles, like, with a sword, with the treasure in his backpack. And it's like, how do you come up with a story like this and not like it? Like, this is like really epic. And shout out to Alex and Caleb, because they were actually able to actually execute this thing. And it's so easy to come off the top. Yeah, we're gonna build this treasure hunter. He's gonna be riding these two crocodiles, and he's have this epic sword. He's gonna have the backpack full of treasure. He's gonna have all these things. But can you execute it, man? And they delivered it, man. So, like, as tough, Brickman has a tough job. Brickman he's definitely a professional, and I think he's got the hang of this judging thing by far, because they're into so many seasons. But this time, you're critiquing like the best of the best. So how do you decipher, like, because every last one of these teams are building these epic builds, man. Like, look at this thing, man. You got two gators, right? Two alligators or crocodiles, side by side. And I love the fact that they are, like I said, they are using somebody must have tipped them off, because I see that there's a lot of wheels on these things, which is helping them guide down this Russian waterfall, right? And that's smart. That's real smart. But you got this guy, sitting, standing on top of these two crocodiles, and he is fixed on it. And the funny thing about it is that, like, there's no support. There's no support. There's nothing supporting the guy at all. Like, their main character with the sword, there's nothing there support. There's no support underneath his legs. It's just his legs attached to the two crocodiles. And that is real gutsy, man. Like, because you could tell that the figure itself isn't a slim figure. It has some girth to it, man. And then not only that is that it's toting a backpack full of gems. And now the gems are probably pretty light. I want to tell you, the gems are probably pretty light, but this thing is definitely, like, I want to tell you, top two for me. This is like top two. I think all of these are like real close to being top two, like, all together. So, being a judge like Brickman is, this is definitely a tough spot. So this thing hits the waterfall, right? And here's the thing: it's like, I wouldn't know. I mean, I would speculate, how something would fall, but are you really sure that's going to fall the way you're going to fall? Because a lot of these teams thought that, and we'll go to some other bills, but a lot of teams thought that, my bill's going to fall like this, and it didn't. And so, I like the fact that this fell and the treasure fell with it. And like this guy basically risked it all for the adventure, right? He's a treasure hunter, but he risked all the treasure for the adventure. And his adventure was riding these two crocodiles out in style, and you lose all your loot out of your backpack. But it was an awesome explosion. Definitely was an awesome explosion. So next up, we have the Adrenaline Junkie. Now, I like these two here, Andrew and Damien. They keep jacking up Damien's name. They pull out the scoreboard, and they misspelled his name again. So I think that it's like the running joke because they know that it's obviously bothering this guy, right? Let me see. Let me let my friend in here. It's obviously bothering this guy, right? And so they misspelled. This time they spelled his name with a Y. I mean, hey man, you ain't gonna spell the name messed up no more. But you got what'd you say?
I said that's gonna be the running gag for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they're gonna come out with something else, man. It's gonna look like his name's gonna look like Wheel of Fortune.
Oh yeah,
pretty soon.
Good evening,
and
folks.
So
happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for stopping in. So you got Andrew and Damien. It's the Adrenaline Junkie. Now these two, they lost the cup. This is what I'm talking about. So they hungry. They were in the final and they lost the cup. And their build was the Mech Stadium, and that was epic. Like It was the Mech Stadium that was like super epic, bro. And you could feel the dagger. You could see the dagger just strike through their heart on that final episode. You could see it in both of their eyes. So they make this Adrenaline Junkie, and Andrew says, "Hey, look, we're gonna, you got this Adrenaline Junkie, and he's gonna risk it for the biscuit. Like he's going all out." And it's pretty cool, man. It's looking pretty cool. Let me see here if I can pull it up.
Can I say, I know you started and everything, so I don't want to touch on that you may have said or touched on, but this challenge blew my mind. Now, I'm a person who don't like to smash anything. No Lego. I hate Lego. I hate seeing Legos being smashed. But the way that they did this, not only does your Lego, your model has to float on this waterfall, but then you have to have an epic slow motion drop,
right?
And then the explosion underneath. Man, seeing some of these builds, they were very awesome. Some of them were very smart. So as they fall and they drop, they telling a story as they drop. I think that's
man. And that's what I say. I think we were similar to with the Space Smash, with the Space Smash challenge. We were similar to. But we were different. Like our destruction, we had variable, destructions where like we all weren't falling off of the same thing, but each one told the story. But I think this was like real effective because each build is falling to its demise, and like I said, it's telling that story before it implodes.
Oh yeah.
So you got Andrew and Damien and Adrenaline Junkie. They were able to execute this thing, but they ran into a few snags though. They did a bit. But this thing is super epic. The idea was that this Adrenaline Junkie was, he was basically going to hang glide, on a surfboard. He was going to hang glide, and he was to fall back on his dinghy and be saved. Like the dinghy would save him from being smashed up. He would land into the dinghy and be safe.
Right.
And that gives a lot of probability. Like at that point, you got to make sure that maybe the back end of it weighs a little bit more than the front end, so he falls the proper way. He's trying. I mean, it's a lot of math in that probability. Like the story was great and the intent was great, but it's a lot of math in that probability. And man, like Brickman held him to the fire. Like if you say that this thing is going to do a certain thing, you got to make sure that it does, because Brickman is going to hold you to it. Like he's like, no, you said that it was going to do this.
These judges,
and
man.
So
yeah.
Oh yeah. And they get to about the last few minutes of it, and Hamish comes in, and this is what I did like, was that they had the hang glide, and the hang glide was just covering his face a little bit, so you couldn't really see. But like they said, if you were, down by the waterfall and you were looking up, you could see everything underneath the hang glider. And so they opted to, push the hang glider just up a little bit, and they were struggling somewhat, but it wasn't enough to save the day, because when Adrenaline Junkie got going and tipped over, he tipped over head first.
Oh yeah.
And what blocked the way? The hang glider. The hang glider blocked everything. You couldn't see anything because the hang glider was in the way.
I mean, you could look at the model. You could tell that on a flat surface, it looks great, right?
Yeah.
You could tell what it is. You can look at the detail and everything. When you don't have a flat surface there, you got to deal with gravity. And just like Space Match Challenge, especially for some of us who had the ceiling drop, we had to build our model in a way that it would collapse on impact, because we had to deal with gravity. It wasn't just hitting the bat or explosions. We had to deal with gravity. Like Will Arnett literally had to drop it in the right angle for the story to be told. And if he dropped it any different, our story would have been messed up. It wouldn't have been told the way it was. But you have to build it in a way that it does that. But this hang gliding thing, you can see they only have rope that's holding, the hang glide, and it looks like a part of it is kind of pressed on the head or leaning on the head for support. If you ain't got no gravity under that, the rope is going to give and is going to block everything. So they probably tested it out a little bit, but man, if we're going to look at it as a standalone model, it's top notch.
Top notch, yeah. No doubt, man. They definitely put a lot of detail in it, man. The guy looks like a kamikaze guy. That's, he's got the bandana on, like he's ready for some action, right? And he's got the the beach trunks on. The dinghy looks great, and I love that they kept all of the popping colors. Like you got the yellow with the fire engine red, and you got the orange flames going in, and then they go ahead and repeat those colors and give you a different pattern for the dinghy, right? And so standalone model, this is definitely top notch, man. Like this is right along with that turtle, man. That turtle was on fire, man. I don't even understand. I wouldn't be able to let that turtle fall, man. I'd be like, let me build something else.
Yeah. I want to say something though, because I think Australia could get away with something like this, but America probably can't. And it says a kamikaze adrenaline junkie, like that. And you look at the bandana. The bandana is Japanese. I mean, it's the white bandana with the red dot. That's Japanese.
With the red dot, yeah.
That could come off as offensive to these people. Like, oh, so we don't. So when you think of kamikaze, that's who you think about. I don't think it was the intent, but it as a cartoon, that was usually whenever they had like somebody was doing kamikaze. Japanese were known for that back in the I want to say not Vietnam War, but like Pearl Harbor and stuff like that. I mean, I can see where that could be a little confrontational, but perfectly the colors pop. I even like the shorts. The shorts is even really, really cool. They picked the right color shorts and everything. So great job. to this team.
Yeah, man. I think this is definitely they're this team right here, Andrew and Damian. They're definitely in it to win it, man. They're not messing around at all on
No.
this build here.
And they shouldn't. They got a lot to prove. So they got a lot to prove.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So next up we have our boy Henry and Sarah, and they got the pirate ducky. It's funny because like you get the one guy, I want to say the one clown, right? One clown, they ask that question to, hey, what are you building? What are you building? How about you worry about what you're building? He's asking what you build. So the wise crackers like that Sarah and Henry are, they'll tell them, hey, we're building skis, like we're building surf skis, like we're building skis, and they weren't building those skis. Don't tell nobody what you're doing. Like, mind your business. Mind your business. Worry about your table.
That's good. That's good strategy, though. But you know what? One thing I do love about this team is their natural chemistry. So they were both saying, I was trying to think about what to build, and she was thinking about what to build, and at the same time, they both said rubber ducky, and I'm like, man, if you could find that type of synergy in your teammate, man, you're unstoppable.
We had a couple that was on our season, and they both said duck, and it was like the rubber ducky, right? And they decided to do this rubber ducky thing, and then they had to pivot, like the second, they had to kind of pivot halfway through the build. They had to pivot and kind of shape some things up with the rubber duck thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, these two here, they are definitely on the same page, and they're there to have fun, right? And you can tell, like you said, we said before, like this is definitely the wild card team here. This is the dream team here. This definitely is. So they make this. They're able to create these pirates, right? These pirates look epic, man. This picture really doesn't do too much justice on it, but these pirates are looking super epic. Let's see if I can get here.
This is Henry's signature. This is his signature caricatures.
Right. All my man practiced this technique all day long. So it probably took him no more than 20 minutes to crank these babies out.
Oh yeah. Easy. And he probably just said to Sarah, listen, you start sculpting that duck, because you can look at the shape of the duck. It's a spherical shape. Those are that's technique. That's the technique that we all had to go through in order to get on that. So that's an easy technique. He cranked out those things. Man, listen, they only had 6 hours to bang this out.
Yeah.
So
but he even said that's not a lot of time. He said it. So he knew Henry already was aware to the game, because he told us that's not a lot of time. It's not.
Because by the time you start the planning and you sit down and you start looking at it, you're like, all right, this is the direction. 2 hours done gone. So you have to get to it. And I just looking at it, it's a clean model. Model.
It is.
Those characters, they all have the same faces, but they all have different characters. Like they all have different, and you can tell there's a story there. The rubber ducky, I mean, you can't get any better than that. They did great.
Look at the grimace on the rubber ducky. Like it's so easy to make a rubber ducky and with the closed build, but look at the build of this rubber ducky. Like it's got that tough pirate look, like those pirates. It's got that grim look,
And it just goes to show once again, when it comes to talent and skill, and you've been down this road before, so as soon as they decide on rubber duck, they already knew what each other's job was going to be. So I'm sure they banged this out in like 4 hours, and then they probably said, all right. Spend the rest of the time adding the little details, like the little monkey on there, the little, the steering wheel and stuff like that. Let's add those other ancillary things that, we want to put on here because we want something cool. And I think the explosion, they filled it with something. I forget what color it was. Filled it with, but just looking at it, it's the right type of model for this type of challenge. So I think they nailed it. Yeah.
And they too put rollers underneath, so it floats down the mainstream pretty easy,
Okay.
and it goes, build deep into it, and the bill cracks first, like it right on the point, right on the kisser, man, and explodes. Awesome explosion. This is what gets you right. And
Yeah.
but yeah, like you said, even these characters, man, like he cranked all three of those guys out real fast, man. Like
Mm,
you could tell because this is his thing. Like this is his thing. Like he builds these type of characters.
yeah. Yeah. The dude is the best at this. He is the best
Oh
at
yeah.
this, and it shows. And Sarah, she's holding her own because it could be very, you could get lost in the sauce, but she holding her own. So big kudos to her.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. All right. Next up, we got the Fat
Mm,
Cat. When I first saw this drum, I'm like, how are they going to achieve this? Like, this is like, and when you say fat, right? It's on one end, it's easy if you do it the low spear style. It's easy to achieve like a pot belly or something like that. But
Yeah.
then you're worried about a lot of like studs on the sides. You see all them studs and stuff like that. I mean, you could probably go back over with some tiles or something, or some curved tiles to kind of cover them up. But it's a lot of techniques to that. So
Yeah.
when I saw this drawing and I saw that idea, I'm like, how are they going to achieve this? And they delivered it, bro. Like I think they delivered it. The stomach to me probably should have been a little bit more robust, but
Okay.
for what they're delivering on this here, like this is I think this is pretty. This is going to get them where you need to go.
And I agree with that 100%. And even the drop. I mentioned earlier about how the drops have a story of itself. The
Hmm.
drop this for this cat, and I love the way they were explaining their build technique because they said the hands is going to tell the story because
Hmm.
we don't want the hands to stay on the raft. We want when this thing falls, the hands are kind of frailing like this, like out of control. They
Right,
wanted to see that. And I said, man, that's gonna be easy to do because of gravity, but to have it go backwards and back and forth, I don't know how you're gonna pull it off. And they
right,
did. When it
yeah.
dropped, the hands was going like this, and I'm like, yo, you have to
They
think
pulled it
about
off.
mechanics, and it's all Lego. You have
Yeah,
to what pieces am I going to have to put together that is going to stay put, but then when it's when it's
in
weightless,
motion that it moves, right? So this
gotta,
this actually changed its whole position on the way down, and you can see. And see, here's the thing: I love seeing, the Brickman being proved wrong, and he even said, he was like, "Wait a minute, you telling me this thing is going to change positions on the way down?" Like he didn't believe it. Like what?
yeah, yeah,
And it happened, and it's like, man, that right there could get you some extra points.
yeah, because again, it goes back to what Amy and Jamie usually say. They said they want to see something that they've never seen before. And if you're
Yeah,
able to pull something out, and even Jamie is like, I've never seen somebody do this with this piece before. You definitely
right.
gonna you're not gonna get he ain't gonna send you home. He ain't gonna send you home
No,
fast.
he was.
You know.
Mm-mm.
So I think they delivered. I do agree. The belly could have been a little bit more robust. I do
Yeah.
agree with that. But you know what? I would sacrifice the belly if I could get the
Hmm.
hand from it. I think the bigger belly would have probably limit how much of the hands was going to move, how much of the arms would move.
Move, right,
So I
right.
think they did all they did great with that.
And it's definitely well played. Like you do the studs, on the sides, the snot technique on the side and stuff like that, so you can actually get the angles that you need for this here. And you don't spend too much time on the arms, and that's easily done by with the studs and the snot breaks too. So you can hurry up and knock those out. That way you could put more love into the face, which matters because you're trying to craft the face. And you can see he spent some quite a time crafting that face. And
Yeah,
then he also spent a lot of time in those big paws because those are the first things you're going to see that move. So I think he actually spent the correct time on the correct portions of this cat. The fish kind of look like an afterthought though.
It does. It does. It looked like they had to add the fish, and sometimes can get away from you because you crafting that face. And you want that face to look perfect. Then you got to craft the body to match the face, and then the raft. Because even if you look at the raft, and the raft looks a little, rushed. But the centerpiece is the cat, and I think that's what they.
Yeah. That's what you nailed it, and it got down there, and it did what it's supposed to do. It changed positions.
Yep.
And it gave them the wow factor too. So I think that this actually served its purpose. Good job, guys. This is it. This is the wow factor we wanted to see for like an all-star show.
Definitely.
Now, I'm going to tell you, friend, I'm probably a little bit biased, and I think these last two builds are definitely in my top 3. And it's more than just the execution from the builders. I think they tried to play this up because I can appreciate, it being in a story where, you kind of make the same thing almost.
Yeah.
Like you kind of make the same thing almost, and then somebody thinks somebody's copying something like that. So these next two builders their build end up being like a double barrel boom, right? Who built the barrel first? So you hear Kale like, yeah, we built the barrel first. They're copying. And he goes, oh, can you timestamp that? And my man goes for shovesies. And you can hear his partner, Alex. I mean, you can hear his partner be like, nah. Trent be like, nah, we can't timestamp it. We're going to tell the truth. Not like Trent, because he's going to keep it real with you, right? Nah, we ain't going to say that. But, we decided to crank this out first, and it's ours going to be the better, and two barrels, right? You got two barrels,
barrel game,
2 different techniques, man. 2 different techniques. And here's the thing, right? It didn't even look the same, bro. It didn't look the same, and I say that because even like with our baby gate thing, right? With me and Jermaine and Tyler and Amy, I think his baby was a hero. Our baby was the villain. Where his baby was a little bit smaller, our baby was a lot bigger. Our baby had lights. His baby had a cape and a pacifier. So and they totally look different. So and so like you see these 2 barrels here, they look different. Yeah, this barrel, like they got a barrel, you got a barrel. Come on, like you're coming up with the same idea. And when you think about a waterfall, the comedy is, right? And it's an old style comedy. The comedy is somebody's in the barrel falling over the waterfall. So that's like that was bound to happen.
Yeah, I mean it's smart. It's smart storytelling, and I think this team right here, I think we got a good piece of Brickman and how brutally honest he could be, because he was talking to them and he was telling them straight up, like, listen, you guys need to add some more to the story, because the barrel is not. You need to add that assistant. You need to add this. And I was like, man, he really laying it in on him.
Laying into him, yeah. And if you didn't, he was gonna shade them points on you. He was gonna shade those points. So he made them to add the assistant, right?
Yes.
And I like they were messing with him. So after Brickman did that, Hamish came back around. It's like, nah, I think you put the assistant in the barrel. So now they had to go back and build a barrel for the assistant that they had made, right? And so now you got 2 barrels, right? You got. Well, technically, you got 3 barrels in this thing now. So and 2 of them belong to this group here, and so it's definitely this show is definitely heavily influenced by the judges, and it's like you either gonna do it, because if you don't do it, you're just gonna lose points.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, this piece right here, you can look at it, and again, it's hard to tell that it's Lego. Like the facial expressions, the gestures in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
The, he's chained up. Even
Trent,
the lock on the barrel. Like
Trent,
just
I know you don't watch. I know you don't watch my stuff, Trent. But Trent, you are a crafting Lego master because these actually look like real people. They look like real puppets. The emotions on these things are
mhm,
like way advanced, Trent.
mhm. And you know what? You got to give a shout out to the crew that has to source the Lego material, because
Mm-hmm.
just looking at it, there's a lot of pieces. There's a lot of tile pieces. There's a lot of slope pieces. There's a lot of pieces in there that you won't typically find in the brick pit. You know,
No, like
these.
he's got curved. He's got curved slopes that are in. I hate to say this, like the flesh tone,
Mhm.
like the flesh tone, and not the medium flesh tone, but the other flesh tone. Like
Yeah,
you got those curved. Man, I ain't never seen. Have I ever seen it? No, I lied. I probably seen a few, but like
but still,
those are like not in the brick pit. Like stuff like that. It's like not in the brick pit.
yeah. And the fact that again, these just looking at the story, I'm already laughing because
Mm-hmm.
here he needs the key, and his assistant has the key, and she's in the barrel as well. That
She's in the
just
barrel as well, trying to give him the key, but they're both going to be smashed to their oblivion. So,
yes, yes. So you got double doses. You got a double dose, and
mm-hmm.
it makes sense. I mean, do they need to put the assistant in a barrel? Probably not. They could have had
Right,
a way to attach the assistant so that way, as the barrel is going over, the assistant is dragged as well, because the
right,
assistant
and that was the plan. That was the plan. But then Hamish says, "Hey,
put him in
we're
the
gonna
barrel.
give you some more work to do because obviously this challenge is probably a little bit too easy for you. So build another barrel and put the assistant in it."
Yep, yep. That's
And
it.
then not only that is that they came up with their own stuff. Like inside that magician's hat is a rabbit.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, he decided to. I think he decided to keep the studs on, so he studded it on instead of letting it not be studded on.
Hmm.
And so when it fell, it stayed on,
Yeah.
and you didn't see the rabbit.
Yeah. I mean that's a trick. You gotta find a way to attach with one stud, or maybe like a jumper, something that's not gonna clutch too tight. So as it's falling, the weight of it would just open up. I think that would have been neat to see that. But
Oh
you
yeah.
know, no, I don't think they really needed it, to be honest with you. Because look at all the
Mm-mm.
work they were able to do. Look at the characters that they created. Like
Oh yeah.
expressions on their face, the eyebrows tell the story. Without eyebrows, you don't know what kind of expression they're really making, and
And,
they it's through.
and here's a tip, Kale. Right? Don't ever go on the show and say that you dibble and dabble in magician, and you got the host showing you up on an easy magic trick that you should be able to do, bro. Like he was trying to play hide the brick and do the French drop, and he couldn't do it. And Hamish just pop, 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 and it was like, oh yeah. So you got to kind of be, I know. I love Kale, right? I love Kale because he talk big talk. I like that big talk, right?
Mhm.
But you gotta back that. You gotta back it up, bro. You can't be talking big talk, and then you got the host showing you up on a magic trick.
He's the host, man. He's a host for the reason. He's a host for point blank period.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. That was funny. All right. So next up, you got Gabby and her teammate. They make the barrel monkey, and let me tell you, bro. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna just go ahead and show. I love the technique on this barrel, even though it was very fragile. Right. This
Mm,
one was like very very fragile. Right.
yeah.
Um, but I love the technique because automatically they come up with what they're gonna build. They don't even get into the monkey just yet. she's rushing off to the minifigure, wall and ripping the pants off of every minifigure that she sees to get that extra, to get that bend, which that is an excellent technique to
Crazy.
use to actually get the shape of a barrel.
Mm-hmm. And that's hard. That's hard because to use those pants, it gives you that bend, but it only bends but so much in a certain direction. And for
Yeah.
them, they had to get it in the right angle, the right colors, and man, did it pay off. Did
Oh
it?
yeah.
And then the monkey is just as impressive. Just as impressive. The facial features, even the
Mm-hmm.
monkey, is gaped open and is like, going crazy with it. They did a good
And
job.
that's just it. Like when you build a character that is hysterical, because the ultimate is that the sick humor is that they're smashing these things until oblivion, right, to their demise, right. Every last one know it, right. You catching that last moment of hysteria, right. And this is it, man. Like you said, even Brickman was like, my favorite part of this monkey is the nostrils, right. Like they use those kennels
Yeah,
as the nostrils for the monkey.
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. And even you can even look at the eyebrows. They use blades for the
Mm-hmm.
eyebrow. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got the banana inside the barrel as well. Man, they really put thought into this.
Here's where stuff get dicey, right? This team had an epic failure because Hamish botched them, right? Apparently, they had a build where it was supposed to be destroyed by a bowling ball, right? And Hamish is rolling the bowling ball. Now, imagine Will Arnett is cracking your build with a bat, and he shows up limp, right? And you don't get the explosion that you thought you was gonna get because he showed up limp. Same
Mhm.
thing here. Like Hamish hooked that bowling ball, and it just nubbed the left of the build instead of cracking the build down the middle.
Yeah, that's hard.
And that's
Hard.
the way the ball. What my man says. That's the Flavor said. That's the way the ball bounces. G, right? And so they made this barrel as fragile as it is, right?
Uh-huh.
Knowing that Hamish has to handle it to push it down the waterfall. Now,
Mm.
you see the irony in that. It's like if Hamish squeezed just a little bit, all their goodies inside this barrel will open up before it being pushed down the waterfall, and that's an epic fail.
Terrible.
So that's very dicey to do, like especially if being that it's user error at this point. It is, and you can tell when Hamish picks up. No, 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 no. The sides, the sides, the sides, the sides.
And, that's something in the competition that is very, very hard because that's human error. You build
Yeah.
it in a way, you should be the one to control how it's put down and all that stuff, but you have to leave it in the host's hand. And one of the producers in the air, like, listen, I need you to sabotage. I need you to sabotage this bit.
Sabotage them. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so how you want me to do it? However, you got to do it, but just sabotage this bit. That's what you
Bro,
got.
you should have seen Hamish's face when they had that bowling ball challenge and he hooked it. You could see his face like
Yep. I was just like,
I mean, no. We're gonna roll that back again, bro. You gonna roll again, and we gonna do this the right way, dude. Ain't no hooks. Ain't no
yeah,
hooks here.
listen, me do it. They should have had me do the bowling
Right.
too.
Be doing the Al Bundy strike.
Yeah,
Oh
but yeah,
yeah, man.
I would say
Man.
episode was a fun episode to watch.
Yeah.
I think everybody had a chance to really get creative in their
Mhm.
build, all across the board. You mentioned that turtle earlier, and I love how Brickman came over and said, "Yo, if this is your story, I'm gonna get you out of here. I'm gonna get you out of here quick." you better change that. And it was just like,
yeah.
that, yo, you put the back to the wall and it's like, yo, what we gonna do? Yo, man, we ain't come here to fail. So, they came out with what was it? Another hang glider? Was it a hang glider?
Yeah, it was a hang glider. Yeah, so you end up having 2 hang gliders and 2 barrels. Folks, it is common that one artist will actually produce something similar as another artist without actually looking at somebody's table and say, "Oh,
yeah,
they do the hang glide, we're gonna do a hang glide."
but
That's
you don't
money.
have enough. Like if you think about it, you're coming off a cliff. So there's not a lot of ideas. You have a kite, you have a hang glider, you have
Yeah.
so there's not a lot of ideas that are out there that you can really think of. So I think them using a hang glider for the turtle, I mean that's kind of, so. But I loved that exchange because it was just like, yo, you putting it back to the wall. You're like, listen, this is Grandmasters. Don't be half doing it.
Well, I mean, at that point he had to, because the artist themselves started like putting himself in the hole emotionally, because it was a compelling story. Like, you're trying to make some people aware of something, and it would have, but it got to a point where it's like, man, now your heart is in a hole. So now you're gonna produce some garbage. Like, you worried about garbage. Like, you're gonna produce some garbage because you don't want to do this. So kudos to Brickman actually pushing him to, no, change your story, because I don't want you being down in the dumps and your build looks like garbage because you feel like garbage.
Yeah. I mean, somebody once told me that as soon as you start getting that was it, personal or emotional in the challenges, you're almost writing yourself out. Once you get a little bit too personal, you start to write yourself out because it starts to get a little, it touches home, and you don't want that. Once they see that, you're showing not weakness, but you're showing that your guard is down, and that can stop.
Definitely, you can smell it. You definitely smell it. Yeah, man. I think this was an epic episode. You got to see everybody's character building skills.
Yeah.
You're gonna do the challenge, but let me see what type of character you can come up with. And not one character looked the same in that room. Not one. And it was awesome. Like, you might have some similar concepts and different techniques. I mean, and it worked real well.
Yeah, they definitely look like they had a great time doing this build, and just being able to just kind of flex their muscle a little bit with how they were doing it. So you want that in a challenge. You want that from a show. You want to see them flex a little bit. These are the best of the best. These are the grandmasters. So you want to see that. So
you want to
see it for sure.
So it looks like the turtle won, right?
You know what? I don't want to say yes because I didn't
spoil it. I don't want to spoil it. But I think the turtle won.
I didn't listen. If the turtle won, then that's a deserving.
Oh man, you know what I missed? I think the best crash, I think, was the actual Gabby's monkey, right? Because she had monkey brains.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think that was
crash
very epic.
Good. That was good.
That crash was good.
That monkey.
When we think monkey brains, I'm thinking, Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom. They crack open the monkey head, and you're eating frozen monkey brains.
But and that was the craziest thing about that. That design had to fall perfectly. If it fell any other way, if it didn't tilt forward, if it fell flat, you wouldn't be able to see it. But if the fact that it tilted up and the head hit the pavement and then boosh,
you see the brains. Yeah.
Cool.
They use corals for the monkey brains.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Smart. That's smart. That was
Perfect
a lot
brains. And then you had the bananas and all that stuff, explode too. So that was pretty epic. Pretty epic.
Yeah, man.
Right, so next up, you got what you got?
Dusty Bricks said something to the tune of, I think Corey needs it. Talk about that outfit. Listen, I don't know if you touched on it, but yo, we said it last night. you gotta have some melons to be
Bro,
sitting up.
you got to have some steel. You got to have some real steel.
You,
I hope Hamish get like paid 100 grand for doing the show, bro, because you got to have some real steel.
listen,
And
this
here's the thing. Here's the
hardware.
thing. I think that that country is like the most, like the men are hard in that country, dude. Like they are like real warriors, bro.
Yeah,
They're like real warriors. Like they, let me tell you, it's showing in the stories that they come up with in these bricks, right?
mhm.
And so it's like you have got to have some real steel, because you show up in something like that, they are gonna cut you up. You know how many jokes was told in there? And you've been on set. A lot of stuff get told in the studio that you just don't that you obviously can't see because it wouldn't be appropriate for TV. So
Right.
I know that they roasted him so good on that set.
Nonstop, nonstop. But but you know what? He probably was like, listen, I'm making them dollars. I'm getting them hardware for us. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
do it. I'm in it. But he got
so
some real steel. Hamish, you got some real steel, bro.
you man, because
It's not everybody get up for that.
I don't see Will Arnett doing that. And Will Arnett, he dresses up a couple times, but getting a mermaid
Man,
costume, I don't see.
Will Arnett's probably got a good 15, 20 years on Hamish.
Yeah, yeah. That don't mean he's gonna do it. He ain't
Nah,
gonna do it. He ain't
he
gonna
ain't
do
gonna
it.
do that. He ain't meant for that.
Nah, he ain't gonna do that. I can't even see Brickmaster Amy doing that. I can't see her doing that. So
Well, she used to model, so she used to model, right?
I
So
get it. There's certain
something close to. I can
listen, man. There's
wouldn't put
certain
it past it.
a person should
Probably
go.
not that outfit, but something close to.
My man was sitting in the water, full
He
mermaid.
was.
You know?
He could lift that.
I was
He couldn't lift the flipper up. He could. That flipper was like way more than he did. He couldn't lift it up. But what about my man? And I'm sorry you came on here late because I got sidetracked. My man had 5011 life vests, bro, and he was popping them like popcorn.
I'm
Just
like,
poof, poof. My man was like, "Yo, how many of them you got?" A lot, apparently. Poof. He had one underneath his sweater, bro. Like, poof.
yo, my man was just like, yo, I heard y'all got problems. Psst. And I'm like, that is good comedic timing right there. That's good.
Somebody said emergency. Poof.
I'm, you are making this episode so much fun. Man, it just shows how committed he is in this role. Like he
Yeah.
understands the role, he understands what he brings to the table, and it's like, yo, we're gonna put a mermaid costume this episode. He probably didn't even say nothing. He probably didn't even say, nah, I don't think that's a good idea. He was like, all right, let me try it on. Let's do it. He's
And
that
here's the
type.
thing, like you got those antics, right? But he doesn't sidetrack the show at all. Like he doesn't sidetrack the show. They show these builders planning. They show them actually building. And like I said before, they actually did a time lapse. I don't know if you got to watch it. They did a time lapse with the people, and you can see them speed up.
Moving
And
it.
it was like, yo, that's perfect because that's kind of like what people want to see is you actually, they want to see that thing like here, and then they want to see it build up.
Yeah. You want to see the process.
Yeah.
Because everybody's always asking, well, are you guys building the entire time? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So episode 3, I like episode 3 because now you get to actually make real life stuff, right? And try to make it look like real live things, like so no characters, no animation. We're actually making like real life, still life stuff, and so I like the fact that they took it back to like the 1950s, like a little classic detective a bit,
yeah,
that Roger Rabbit feel, I like that,
yeah.
and
And
so we get to see some fun stuff.
that this episode is very elite, because
Mm-hmm.
to build something realistic. Now, like I got my camera, and that's probably the most realistic thing I've built, like
Mm-hmm.
from scratch. And that's a process to build, to get to
Mm-hmm.
get the specs right. They're literally looking. I think they're looking at the model of whatever it is they have to recreate, and you have to think about it. I always explain it like this to people. If you ever watch the Lego movie and you see how
Mm-hmm.
Ed is looking at everything, and he's literally just looking at the parts, like the
Yeah.
different he can use to create this thing. That's exactly how your mind is working. Like, all right, how are we going to make this curve? How are we going to make this thing tilt? How are we going to make this thing move? How are we going to make this thing, kind of look the way it looks? And that just it takes a very strategic mind to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have two people doing it at the same time. Like you have your partner. Man, I can't wait to see, if the guest star is going to be able to choose which is Lego and which is not. Because she's gonna get fooled. I think she's gonna be fooled.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like they show little previews of it, and Josh was holding up this lamp, and I looked at the lamp. Yeah, you could tell that's Lego. But then I looked at the real life lamp. I was like, oh crap!
It's pretty right on. Yeah, it's probably right on. I think under the right lighting, right, and I don't think she gets up on the items, right? You get in the view's distance, but and then in the right lighting, it's like it's not spotlighting, so you can actually see everything. So you probably dim the lights, and she wasn't up on all the models at all, and she's just taking a look around in this makeshift room and trying to decipher what was and what wasn't. And that could get a little bit tricky, especially if you spot on, man. Like if you spot on, it's tough to see something like a fan, a lamp, and it's like you get the right techniques, and I kind of like this type of challenge because it kind of takes it out of the judges' hands. Not to say that the judges dishonest or something like that, but here's the thing. If you were a judge, you would have your favorite builders and you would kind of give them some type of leeway, right? Because they're your type of favorite builders. And then everybody else, they would just have to prove they're worthy. And so you would be that much harder on the people who have to prove that they're worthy to you. So you would judge them a little bit harsher than you would your favorites, right? And so this time the challenge is taken out of the judge's hand, and you got somebody who really don't know Lego from Shinola, right? You see how I did that? And so they decide what looks real to them and what isn't. So I think that this is I won't say like a fair challenge, but it gives another person it gives the builders a different like a different chance to kind of get their points up.
I like that as well, when is no longer in the judge's hands. Is in a regular person's hands. It makes it seem not genuine, but it makes it seem a little bit more authentic in a way.
Yeah.
So to see that, so I can't wait to see this episode, because I want to see if I could tell myself, because some of these builds, they show some previews, and some of the builds, man, they were spot on. They were spot on, color and everything.
Yeah, man.
When
they call you, Corey, you better have your skills ready when they call you, son, for that thing. You better have it ready, boy. You better bring the heat, because I'm going to be on here talking about you.
Oh, I'm telling people, from the day I left that show, I have not stopped working. I have not stopped honing my skills and polishing my skills, to the point where I'm like, yo, they call me tomorrow. They say, yo, Corey, we want you in Grandmasters. I'm in there. I'm going to build. I'm going to build some things to blow your mind. That's my mentality going in. So that and I'm sure all of the competitors from Australia, I'm sure they all said the same thing. Like, given the opportunity to go back in, I'm going to do it. And even the winners, like, you won Lego Masters, but you weren't the first season's winners. You wasn't the second season's. You're your season's winner, but you're like, you know what? Can I really take it to the best of the best? Like, this is one thing that I really liked about the Christmas special that y'all did, because even though Dom is a young kid, he's and you know he had that target on his back coming in like that. But when he was on the special, he made it very clear. He was like, "Listen, I don't even care about winning. All I want to do, I want to beat Boone. Like that's the guy. Like that's the guy I grew up watching, and you know how he's here and I'm here, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna take it to Boone."
Yeah, he came out swinging too. He came out swinging, man. He was a tough competitor. He was. He came out swinging, man.
I like that because you know what it shows you that you know I'm here to get that W. You know everything else is you know I can take everything else, but I want that W. And I'm sure a lot of those builders in Australia, I'm sure a lot of them was like, you know, Henry was the first. Can I take it to Henry? You know,
and take it to Henry, but I do like how they did do that. They so easy to bring the champions back. You have Henry and Cade, but you know I don't want to say dumb it down, but you spice it up and you give him Sarah, who's fresh off of a win.
Yeah.
So that Henry's that much dangerous now. So it's like instead of dialing him back, they amped him up.
Yeah. So now he, you know, and even on the leaders board, you know, you're looking at the leaderboard, you know, Henry's not on top.
Not yet.
Henry and Sarah's not on top.
But I'm sure they will be. I'm sure they will be in due time.
Absolutely.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. You know.
So we watching episode 3.
Yeah, man. Got to. I'm hooked. I am hooked in this idea because you know Australia's Lego Master is one step ahead of us. You know, the holiday special, we finally started doing the holiday special. You know, they've been doing it for 2-3 years now, 2-3 seasons. We're getting ready to do I believe our second season is going to be coming up during the holidays. You know, hopefully. So it's like you know we're going to be doing a Grand Masters at some point, and then it has to get to a stage where it's like you know what we got to do a global Lego Masters thing. You know where the best teams or the best builders.
The best over there. Yeah.
To do that. Like where is that going to be held? Who knows? But it might be like an Olympics type of thing where everybody who's ever been in Lego Masters will have a chance to come in. And you know,
that would be awesome.
You know, I think that'll be an awesome thing. The logistics will be a nightmare, I'm sure. But I think that will be, you know, they said, yo, we want to do cars. All right, let's get all the best car builders. We want to do like caricatures. Let's get all the characters. Let's see who can build tall towers. Let's get all the best builders who can do towers. You know, all that stuff. I think that'll be amazing. You know, I want to see that.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Definitely, most definitely.
Yeah, man.
All right, folks, that is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the show. We will be back with episode 3. And so I'm definitely enjoying the season, man. You know, and I love that they hit you back to back with a couple of episodes. You know, they break for the weekend and then they hit you with a couple more. You know, you don't have to wait 1 episode per week.
Mm-hmm. Come back. They give you the fix. They give you enough of that fix. You good on that fix. You're like, oh man, we're start itching. You like,
these things are so good. You can watch them again, bro. You can watch them over and over again, man. They're that good.
Oh yeah. And then on top of that, you know, once you watch it, you're like, man, I wonder what this team did during the regular season. You start looking them up. Mm-hmm. This is who they are. Then you start looking for them, and then you start watching this season, and you start watching them and see how they progress. And then by the time you do that, boom, you got a new episode out. You know,
new episode out. Yeah.
They're smart in how they're doing it, man. Real smart.
Yeah. All right, folks, we will catch you next time. Keep watching those Grand Masters.
Absolutely.